Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and of course, drop me a comment down below. I love hearing about from you guys, it goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we're on issue 22 of good old Combat Patrol magazine, and it's a paint issue. So, nothing super spectacular. We get two fairly decent base colours. We get Wayland Sunset, obviously, very, very decent paint. Yellows can be a little bit tricky to paint with though, so do be careful. And obviously, when you're going to want to highlight them, at some point we will get other yellows, I can imagine, later on. But if you want to, just go plough ahead and get on with it, then you may want to get yourself some Uriel yellow or some good old Flashkit yellow, and then you have 3 different tones of yellows to kind of, so you've got your highlights and such like that as well, all in one go, if you really want to. If you do not want to, do not worry. If you want to as well with your Catachan Flesh, which is the other colour we get this week, then maybe you may want some Baneblade Brown to kind of act as an edge highlight. Yeah, maybe some Mournfang Brown if you want something a little bit more of a proper browny, earthy colour. It's a very, very different shade, though, to Catachan Flesh. So, yeah, but, yeah, you can use that. And if you're going to use Baneblade Brown, you may want to go for, say, like Carrick Stone or something like that, which will also give you very nice highlights. But they're not quite as obvious contrasting tone as what the yellows are, in all honesty. So, yeah, it is what it is. Anywho, going into this week's issue, obviously we are greeted by a how to paint guide. So obviously this is giving us more additional details for the minis we've already gotten going with. So if you're following the guide, this obviously is still walking you through step by step how to paint the minis. Obviously, if you're more experienced with painting, you may not want to kind of pay attention to the guide, but you can if you want to. Anyway, Catachan Flesh, using it on things like leatherwork can work very, very well. You can use it on, obviously, flesh tones, because it is a flesh tone-ish. But yeah, you can use it for that if you wanted to. But, there are obviously ways and means of using it. In other words, it can be quite a versatile paint. So, just bear with it, and I'm sure you'll get a good colour scheme out of it. Using your Wayland Sunset on things like the pipework on the librarian and such like that can work absolute wonders. It does work very, very well. You must admit, it's how I painted mine up. So, yeah, it does exactly the job you need it to do. And, yeah, you can even use it on things like your Tyranids for things like eyes and any other monsters as well, if you want to. You do not have to, obviously. And a bit of Catachan Flesh on the Eldari Farseer. You can use this, or you can use things like Mournfang Brown or any of the Euro Browns to get leather work in there. Yeah, either way, it can work very, very nicely. If you are following along with the guide, though, obviously you are going to have some colour schemes that look like this. They look pretty decent. It's not too bad. It's pretty good. And something like that. So it does work very, very well. And obviously we are going to get more paints later on that are going to give us more highlights and shades and such like that can give you a bit more of a less of a flat tone with all the painting. Anywho, enough talk about painting. We move on to a read section. So we have a read section for the Eldari. This is obviously the second part of it. So the Eldari war hosts are among the most powerful armies in the galaxy. They strike fast and hard, raining down death and destruction on the foe. The Eldari are an ancient people who have had a long time to develop and perfect their weapons and equipment. Their technology is some of the most advanced in the galaxy, and over many thousands of years their warriors have exhaustively trained in its use. So, as you can imagine, being a very ancient race within Warhammer 40k, yeah, you can imagine they're just like the elves, really. That's probably the best way to describe them. They're space elves. They have some pretty cool nifty gear. They have the good old Wraith Lord and such like that. They have the Wind Riders, and they're pretty damn cool. So you get some really, really good minis out of the Eldari kits that look pretty damn cool. You do get craft world armies as well, and they do have some really good vehicles, so they have some really cool tanks and such like, and they obviously have a bit more of a walking exosuit skeletons and such like that, which work very, very well. Then we move on, we get more information about craft worlds. So the craft worlds of the Eldari are huge constructs of psychoactive wraithbone that cruise through the galaxy at sublight speeds. Each is the size of a small planet and is home to an entire self-sufficient community of Eldari. So, the craft worlds themselves, you'd think, oh, it's a natural planet. No, it's actually essentially a planet-sized ship, so it's still travelling through the kind of the galaxy, and yeah, doing its job, which is the main thing, and it's self-sufficient, so they're not having to rely on other world planets and trading and all that type of stuff. So, very pretty cool, pretty interesting. It's a bit more unique lore that makes the Eldari a more unique faction. So, it's pretty good stuff. You also get some different colour schemes as well, so it's entirely up to you which colour scheme you want to go for. I must admit, some of them are pretty good. You can go different colour schemes. There are a few others as well that aren't mentioned here. But yeah, entirely up to you how you want to go about painting them. It's your choice, your army. Then we move on, we get more reading sections, so all about the war zones. So, obviously, we haven't had any of these, so this is War Zones 1. So the Imperium spans most of the known galaxy. An area so vast it would take many lifetimes to cross, even travelling at the speed of light. Across these huge distances, many wars rage, enveloping planets, star systems, and even entire subsectors in desperate battles for survival. The Imperium is spread across much of the galaxy, and it fights daily to maintain its iron grip on the systems under its control. However, as far-reaching as this empire is, there are many regions of space that have either never been charted by humanity or whose secrets have been lost to the mists of time. So, you get a bit more information about them, and a bit more information about how the galaxy is at constant odds with itself and each other, and how all the different factions will constantly fight. You get this nice map as well, so you get the good old two different sides of the Imperium, so the Imperium Sanctus and the Imperium Nihilus. So they are two different kind of spans, and there is the great kind of rift and the Eye of Terror going through everything and such like that. So it gives you a little bit more information about how the galaxy kind of is mapped and separated, and certain specific planets that you may want to be interested in knowing, like Macragge or good old Riser and such like that. So there are some really, really interesting ones, and there are two different essentially sectors essentially, but you can kind of go through and everything like that. So and obviously all these red areas are anomalies are detected there, and they are sometimes where chaos is at its strongest in some of them areas. So pretty cool stuff, pretty interesting, and a little bit unique. Obviously, if you had a good old last magazine, good old, what was it called, Imperium, that's the one. I almost completely forgot then. You would have also read all this stuff before as well. So, or if you've got, say, like the good old rule book or anything like that for 40k, you'll get all of this information in there as well. So it's pretty good. Then we get our collecting stuff. So obviously this is going to give us more of our roles to kind of name and give titles to things like the Farseer and your good old your Wraithlord and such like that, and how to kind of make them a bit more unique and a bit more your own, and just not random nameless minis on the table. So yeah, entirely up to you how you want to go about using them, or if you want to use them at all. If not, there are countless good old ones that you can use online, so random name generators and title generators as well for everything. So it's pretty good. Anywho, we get a bit more information about playing as well. So playing Combat Patrol. This is giving us a welcome to Combat Patrol, which you'd think we would have happened in the first issue. However, obviously, it wanted to give us the basics of playing, and this is kind of giving us a bit more information about how Combat Patrol itself works as a standalone game compared to your average game of Warhammer 40k. So, pretty decent, pretty interesting, and it will be very beneficial if you're going to be playing along with a magazine. So, it'll work well. Going over there as well, you do get Combat Patrol missions. There are different ways of painting, obviously, so you can just go contrast paints if you wanted to. You can go the classic method, which is what the magazine's teaching us to do. Entirely up to you how you want to go about painting, and you're, at the end of the day, they are your minis. Obviously, if you are going contrast, it doesn't always look as great, and some people can, and sometimes you can tell which is contrast and which is good old classic method. Personally, I'm a classic method painter. I like to paint different layers and build it up from there and get loads of detail in and such like that. But entirely up to you. You don't have to. You get information about Battlefield, so in addition to good old needing combat patrols to face off against each other, players will also require Battlefield on which to play. In the missions, it will give us information about each good old battlefield and such like that, which will get information about the combat patrol missions themselves. So you'll get the kind of the battlefield key over here. So you'll get your attacker zone, your defender zone, the defender's edge, attacker's edge. Objective markers are going to be marked with the skull. You get a no man's land, and you can also have a center of battlefield, which will all be marked on the mission itself as kind of detailed here. So it's all about using them good old patrols. The way the magazine, I imagine, is going to probably work is it's going to teach us how to play with each faction, but then it is going to evolve into going, this is your combat patrol mission, pick your combat patrol, have fun. So it'll go something like that. I imagine that's how they're going to want to work it over time, and this is kind of how it's doing. If you are going to be doing it as well, you can obviously have a little bit of a clash, and you can use that chart to kind of mark who's fighting who, and you can build up from there if you wanted to. You do not have to, obviously, but yeah, it's a way of doing it. It works very, very well. It's pretty decent, so why not? And obviously you're just not going to be using or not very often using kind of attacking and defending on the same factions against each other. So, and you also get your icon key as well, which obviously is all the factions we get with the magazine. But if you want to go for different combat patrols later on, so if you want, say, like the Adeptus Sororitas, or you want the Drakari or anything like that, you can do. You can pick them up. You just don't get them on this chart here. But obviously you can create your own on, say, like Google Sheets or something like that. So, yeah, have fun with it. Anywho, moving on. Next week and the week after, part 1 and part 2 of our Eldari Guardian Defenders and the Heavy Weapons platform. You can make them as a Guardian Defenders, or you can make them as Storm Guardians. So there are alternate builds to them. You can have the vast majority of them with helmets on or without helmets. Personally, I'll probably go helmets. I like the helmets. They look pretty good. And yeah, I think it fits as an army. Having a generally faceless army works very, very well. So, yeah, your choice. And then we'll get issue 25 after that, obviously. So, yeah, it's going well. It's pretty good. Obviously, we are about a quarter of a way through-ish. So, yeah, it's a 90 magazine run. So it's pretty good. And obviously, we have a lot more to look forward to. So, should be brilliant over time. So definitely worth having a nose yet. And yeah, these will be good. These will be good to get our hands on. Anyway, I have absolutely rabbited on more than enough. So thank you very, very much for watching. And yeah, I'll see you sometime soon. Bye-bye now.